In this video, I'll be going over some of my personal favorite fan castings for the upcoming X-Men movie for Marvel Studios. The following reboot for the X-Men is supposedly going to be taken from the 1963 Uncanny X-Men. In the past X-Men movies, Famke Janssen and so as Game of Thrones star Sophia Turner all played the role of Jean Grey. However, in this reboot, we do not need a fan caster because apparently she's already been cast as none other than Sadie Sink, who we know from Stranger Things, is set to take the mantle. She is in an undisclosed role in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which many insiders in this industry do believe that she is set to be Jean Grey, which is very fascinating if you ask me, because having your first pillar of the X-Men franchise be introduced in a Sony Spider-Man movie, and by no means is this throwing shade at Spider-Man franchise over at Sony, but it is quite interesting how Disney paid all this money to get back the X-Men rights as long as other properties, and the first introduction of an X-Men character in the live action one is going to be attached to Sony and what they're doing over there. In my opinion, I think sooner or later Disney are just going to have to throw the bag over to Sony to get all the rights under one umbrella, because having Spider-Man over there while them having the rest in-house in the House of Mouse is still just weird to me, because we know from years past how Sony has failed with the Spider-Man franchise. Besides, if you want to say the Andrew Garfield franchise, I personally love that franchise. Andrew Garfield's one of my favorite Spider-Man. But if you look at what they've done since, you had the animation Spider-Verse film, which that's still been on and delayed. But now we have Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which they have an agreement with Marvel Studios to work on side to side to just have one of the most prized possessions of the X-Men, in that you want to stay steadfast of like, hey, I want to take my time with this and so on and so forth, and just introduce Sadie Sink, one of the top rising actresses of today, being cast as Jean Grey, and her first introduction in the MCU is not a part of the Disney umbrella, but instead in the Sony umbrella. It's just quite fascinating and a crazy choice if you ask me. Arguably the face of the franchise is Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman has been playing the character since the Fox days and into the Deadpool and Wolverine movie that came out a couple years ago, and as well he's supposed to be in Avengers Doomsday as well as Avengers Secret Wars. However, in the reboot, it's been speculation that Wolverine won't be a part of the first team, but in my opinion, I think that would be a grand old mistake, because Wolverine is arguably the biggest draw out of all the characters in the X-Men, besides people like Jean Grey, Cyclops, you can put in Rogue, Beast, all of them, Professor X, Magneto. I have a couple interesting options of whom I think should be casted as the next Wolverine, taken over for Hugh Jackman, whom I do love. But in my opinion, the next Wolverine should be none other than Superman himself, David Corenswet. Many guys are thinking, wow, like, why would we want David Corenswet to be our next Wolverine? Why isn't Henry Cavill fit to be the next Wolverine? Well, we do have a little taste of Henry Cavill being Wolverine. If you did watch the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, he did make a little nice cameo and threw a little shot at the DC studios, where he was fired when James Gunn and co. took over the company, and they replaced him with David Corenswet. What I'm thinking, and my logic is with David Cornsweet being the next Wolverine, is quite honestly, why not? His co-partner in Superman as well as Man of Tomorrow, Lex Luthor, is played by none other than Nicholas Hoult, who, if you remembered, he played Hank McCoy, Beast, in the original Fox X-Men movies. And I think even with David still being the Man of Steel in Superman, he can still very well be the next Wolverine in a franchise that Marvel wants a big name star to take over the mantle for Hugh Jackman. For Rogue, she would be played by none other than Odessa Adelon, who we know from Marty Supreme, Grand Army, I Love LA, as well as the new Stranger Things spin-off animation short of Tales of 85. It should be noted that Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic podcast also teased that Odessa was being looked at for the role of Rogue, and I think that should be a great choice. Well, fresh coming off of Marty Supreme, that gave her much fan acclaim and critic acclaim, and that she has that nice graspy voice that I think that's very much needed for a person to play Rogue. While we know Cyclops being played by James Martin, who is indeed coming back for Avengers Doomsday, I think the next person to play Cyclops and wear the glasses is none other than Austin Abrams, who is set to be in the new movie Wellfall later this year, as well as you might know him from Weapons or even Euphoria. For Beast, Dr. Hank McCoy, I want to cast Fabian Frankel from the HBO shows Task as well as House of the Dragon. For Polaris, I would cast Maddie Phillips from The Boys. For Iceman, I would cast Solo Manduena, who we know from Blue Beetle and Cobra Kai. For Storm, I would cast Jade Cargill, former WWE Women's World Champion. For Emma Frost, I would cast Samara Weaving. As for Angel, I would have Stephen Kalin to play him. While left some other notable X-Men characters out, like Magneto as well as Professor X. In the next video, I'll go over some more fan castings that I want to see. But if you guys like this video, please like, follow, and subscribe to me as AZ Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next